crafts. Like like it as in making stuff. That's what I mean by crafts. I really find them very interesting. Crafts, just making shit like tables or woodworking, making handles, making swords, making interesting stuff with steel, doing just miscellaneous stuffs like that I just find beyond interesting. Especially blades. And another thing that I also find interesting is woodworking, which I guess is in the same part. Metalworking and woodworking are very interesting to me, and I genuinely do want to do them sometime, maybe in the future. But I find it interesting because both the finished product and the videos that are produced in these genres are slow enough and are long enough where you could just put it on a side screen and just do whatever, which happens to be very useful to me since I like to do that when I'm editing. So it is one of the main content that I consume when I'm producing these type of videos. And it's so interesting when you see people work on something for days and it finally working out and actually looking beautiful. Like, I think it would be fun if I were to make something similar, like maybe some sort of wood table, some sort of knife. Yes. Man, I talk about knives way too much on this channel. I should really stop. But that's not the point. I really, really like just being on YouTube and just finding people making whatever they want and just spending some time just doing what makes them happy. And to see passion being poured into something and it actually working out, because it does, sometimes it doesn't, but when it does, all of that effort you see helps you to understand the true beauty of a project or something along that line. For instance, you could see something stylish like a table or something like that have a subpar reaction if you don't know what the story behind that thing is. But if you understand the context, your reaction may change, which just makes it better to watch. And it's also quality content. I mean, quality content speaks for itself. You don't need me to tell you what quality is. I mean, here at just some person, we produce the highest of quality stuff, best stuff there is, I tell you. But all jokes aside, I like the videos themselves as well very much. As much as I like the finished product, I like the videos almost as much. Because if you just put the video on second screen or just put it to one side, it often has a narrator but does his job and narrates what is happening on screen. Even if you're not watching, you can get a general sense of what's happening, even if you're doing something else. Which, hey, that's one of the things that makes this genre in particular very often in my feed, because I watch a lot of it. Because who would have guessed? I have a lot of work to do, and I have also a very fried attention span, so I have to listen to something or something else to keep my mind from melting. It's a struggle, I tell you. But yeah, I really find that just doing stuff when you're listening to people is helps you complete that task, even if that task is on its own incredibly boring. Just listening to someone talk can make that specific task a bit less boring, I think. For instance, well, editing for me, editing whenever I do is fairly boring. Yes, it's not, there's nothing much that happens when I'm editing the background. The background, that's the most boring thing there is. I genuinely just listen to something else when I'm doing it. I don't think I can do it if there's nothing to listen to, because man, it is boring with a capital B. And for me, these types of videos take the place of podcasts and VODs, which are both long content which you can just put to the side because nothing much physically happens from one moment to another. But the person who's talking fills you in with what's happening in the scene, and it makes the experience of doing something more entertaining. Because if you're listening to someone just talk about whatever and you're doing something, you can just listen to it and kind of satiate your boredom, even if it's not grab your eye. It helps you in, well, doing stuff. And if you are not like me and don't put the video to one side to do work and watch the video, just seeing the end product, or not even the end product, just seeing the product being built, seeing the process behind it, and by seeing step after step of a completed thing, it, I think, helps the final reveal of a beautiful final thing. If you're just scrolling through something like Instagram and see some knife or some sort of table or something adjacent, maybe some guitar, some sort of surfboard, or something that took somebody a lot of work and is very beautiful, you may not feel as much of its story. I guess you will not feel as attached to it in a sense. You won't see the depth of its beauty, I guess. I think it sounds a bit condescending. So you may not feel the work that's been put behind this beautiful piece of art. And if you see the person actually doing the work, carving wood, hammering steel, shaping it, and everything in between, you will feel a sort of connection to the object and feel the work that has been put behind it. And that may increase the depth of your feeling towards the object. You may feel that that object is, well, more human in a sense, because the person who has built it has put a part of his soul effectively into the object. And another thing that is also a sort of craft is art, I guess. In a sense, craft like woodworking and metalworking are a form of art, and I think that it also goes both ways. Art is a craft, and I think that even art has its merits. If you see the person making some sort of comic or making a drawing, you may understand the depths of its beauty better, because a still image is just a still image, but the story behind that image makes it human in a sense. And I think that humanity makes your feeling towards an object deeper. Yes, well, that's just my opinion on it, because honestly, I don't think that many things that are beautiful feel beautiful, because, well, what does feeling beautiful mean? I can't tell you that because I don't know myself, but I think something, if you see the story behind something, you can feel its beauty, you can feel its humanity. Man, this video got deep, way too deep. So, that is all to say that I personally very much like these expression of yourself very much. I find them very interesting, and I think that people should continue doing this because it's fun. Even if you're making something, you know, less physical, making a video, making some sort of art, making some sort of comic, making some sort of story, stuff adjacent to craft, it's also better to just keep doing it. And if you really want to, you could also, share, if you can, you can share your process behind the project you're making, which may allow people to feel its beauty or experience it more fully, in a sense. And that is all to say that I really want to make some sort of art, like make comic, especially a comic. But I won't make it now. I will make it few years from now, maybe. If the idea hasn't left me by then, because I don't think it will, because man, it hasn't left me until now. I really don't think it will leave me until a few years. But if the idea hasn't left me, or if I have completed the story in my head, and or I have the resources to, make the comic, I will eventually, because I find it to be very interesting, the process behind making comics, and I, developed a story in my mind. It just popped in there. I can't get it out. It's just there, stuck for months at this point. I just can't. I just can't leave it. One big problem is that I can't draw shit. Like, I just can't. I don't have that skill. So that's where financial ability comes, because eventually I will maybe hire somebody, and it may just be one of you watching here that gets hired, but not now, maybe a few years down the line, where I have the resources, or maybe I've completed the story or something along those lines, which makes me want to put it out in the world. I think that in this sense, you can't experience the process that's behind me making this, because, well, it's a thought. You can't really express thoughts. And my thought process is just me sitting there and taking a bath or something like that, and it just pops into my brain, because of course it does. And me really taking a lot of inspiration from other stories that I find personally very interesting. And I think I will eventually get around to making this, because I really find it very interesting. Like, my thought process is that this story can't be done justice in any other form outside of a comic. Because, I mean, I could write a book, but I don't think I can do justice to the story if it's written in book form. I guess, in a sense, a comic is a book, but, you know, a picture book. But outside of picture book, I don't think I can do justice to the story, and I don't imagine there's a way for me to do justice to this story. And I think that is just honestly a bit sad, considering that I really do want to publish this eventually. And I think that that is why I may just hire some artist or some person who has a lot of time and can actually do stuff that I can't, draw. But yeah, that's one of the reasons that I've made this video. It's just to talk about art and crafts and appreciate them for what they are, and people sharing their, beautiful projects to the world. Like, this is one of the few times in possibly human history that art was so readily available, that even me could find art that is so beautiful that I personally want to make my own art. Again, as somebody may or may not have said, art inspires art. And if somebody creates art that is beautiful in a sense that inspires you, I think that is precious, and I think it should be as such, and it should be appreciated for what it is. And, you know, AI love shouldn't take its place. The art it should exist, and it should be authentic and man-made, because, if it doesn't have soul in it, then what is it? I mean, art is expression of oneself, and if there's no self in there, there is no art in there. Now, is there? Yeah, I really just I wanted to talk about this. It's just been that's just been on my mind for a bit, and I really wanted to just talk about it. So yeah, that's about it from me. Bye.